Every piece of pottery begins long before the wheel starts spinning. It begins at the clay table where a block of raw clay waits to be prepared. At this stage, there's nothing remarkable about it. It's heavy, damp, and formless. If someone unfamiliar with pottery walked into the studio, they might simply see a lump of mud. There is no hint of the bowl, mug, or vase hidden inside. Only the potter can imagine what it might become. The first step is preparation. The clay is washed to remove air pockets, even out the moisture, and align the clay particles. It's repetitive work that many beginners are eager to finish so they can move onto the wheel. But experienced potters know that this quiet stage matters. A well prepared piece of clay is already beginning its transformation, even before it has taken on a shape. Then the clay is placed onto the wheel. At first, it feels like nothing more than earth mixed with water. Your hands push it down, lift it up, and center it again and again. It stretches, compresses, and spins beneath your palms. In these first moments, you are not making a pot. You are simply learning to understand the material in front of you. As the wheel turns, the clay slowly begins to respond. A cylinder rises, the walls become thinner, the rim starts to take shape. Yet, it still feels like you are working with clay rather than creating something meaningful. And then, almost without warning, a remarkable moment arrives. Every potter knows this feeling, even if it's difficult to explain. The clay stops being just a lump of mud. It begins to feel like a pot. Nothing has changed chemically. It is still soft enough to reshape and fragile enough to collapse with one careless movement. But something has changed in the relationship between the maker and the material. You no longer see the clay on a wheel. You see a mug that someone will hold every morning. You see a bowl that may sit on the family table for years. You see possibility becoming reality. From that moment on, your hands naturally become gentler. Every touch becomes intentional. You are no longer forcing the clay into shape. You are protecting the form that has begun to emerge. The piece has found its identity, and your role shifts from creating it to helping it become the best version. Perhaps this is why pottery feels so deeply rewarding. The transformation doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It begins with careful preparation, patient waiting, steady centering, and countless small decisions that slowly build upon one another. What looked like ordinary mud a few minutes ago now carries purpose, character, and the promise of becoming something lasting. Maybe there's a lesson in that. And in most times, we often admire the finished pot, but overlook the quiet work that came before it, the preparation, the patience, the unforeseen effort. Yet, without those first steps, the finished piece could never exist. In many ways, life is much the same. Growth rarely begins with a grand moment of success. It begins with preparation, with ordinary days, with small, consistent actions that seem insignificant at the time. But as a beautiful pot begins as a simple lump of clay, shaped from the very beginning, our greatest transformations often start long before anyone else can see them. And perhaps that's the real beauty of pottery. It reminds us that every masterpiece was once just a handful of mud waiting for someone to see what it could become. Cheers.